It's all about me.
This is the Dan Patrick Show podcast.
There is more where that came from.
Click back for new episodes all week long. Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Welcome to the program. It's hour one on this Tuesday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Got Kevin Costner, big-time movie star, stopping by, and Trae Young, formerly of the Oklahoma Sooners, will join us. And it's a tradition unlike any other. We'll talk about the positives with Trae Young, but we're going to have him read the negative reviews, the comments made about him prior to the NBA draft. 877-3DP Show, email address, dp@danpatrick.com. Got a few items to dive into. Poll question. Jay-Z is in the shoe business, and it's basketball shoe business. So we'll talk about that coming up as well. The NBA draft is all about upside, and if you follow the buzz, at least what we're hearing in the media, the hot name this week is Michael Porter Jr. Porter played 3 games at Missouri last season. He had a back injury. I think he played a total of like 50 minutes in his college career. But that's not scaring people away. It's almost like they like the fact that there's potential, and we take potential over production. Because I look at someone like Marvin Bagley. He averaged 21 a game at Duke, ACC Player of the Year. But it feels like we know what we need to know about Marvin Bagley. It's what we don't know about Michael Porter or Luka Doncic. That's what they love, potential. The unknown, the great unknown. Yeah, okay, I saw Grayson Allen for 4 years. Okay. But this guy, that we haven't seen, who came from the French League, boy, we love his potential, his upside. I'm not sure how it shakes out with the first round of the draft. It feels like there's going to be some movement here, some teams maybe trying to move up. And I do think the teams overthink this. When they get to the draft, they overthink it. Because how many times do you read something about a player and you go, let me tell you what he doesn't do? And that's where you overthink it and you make a mistake. Trae Young, there's a lot of things he doesn't do. But do the positives outweigh the negative? Is he a guy you can have as a complimentary player? How much can you rely on him? Now, we saw that he was tired. He was worn down second half of the season. But he did everything for Oklahoma. I mean, he put up incredible numbers there. But what's he going to be able to do in the pros? If you go back, and this happened during the NBA Finals, after Golden State won, people started tweeting all the negative things that were said about Steph Curry going into the draft. Okay. If you go back and you read all of those negative comments, they're still true. He can't guard anybody. At times he's out of control. And his draft profile is pretty much the way he plays. Now, he didn't grow. I mean, he might have added a little bit of weight, but he's still slight. There's still an issue maybe with his ankle. But, what he did, the positives outweigh the negatives. This kid, Luka Doncic, who is 18, 19 years of age and proven in the European League. I don't know if it translates, to the NBA, but we keep looking at, is he going to be able to play defense? The physicality. Can he get his shot? Okay, what are the positives with him? DeAndre Ayton, he can't play defense. Well, what else? Can he do other things there? Not everybody comes out and you go, man, he does everything. I'm sure that they looked at Michael Jordan. If you look at his draft profile, they probably said, well, there's some things here that I have a problem with. Is he a great outside shooter? Or whatever it might be, that we would find a negative with every one of these players. Larry Bird, not quick, he can't jump. How's he going to get that shot off in the NBA? Okay. Great players figure out a way. And this is where I think that every single year, in every single sport, we overthink it. Because we're so caught up in, let me skew to the negative, let me have a hot take on the negative, that we're not trying to be able to look at the positives here. That's the point I'd want to make with Trae Young. He's not Steph Curry. And if you're looking at, he loves Steve Nash. He's not Steve Nash. But you're looking at guys and what their abilities are and what they're capable of doing. Can he be more like a Steve Nash? Maybe. Than he can a Steph Curry. I think it's unfair when you go, okay, and we have to have a draft comparison. Because you go, well, who's he play like? Who's he remind you of? There's certain guys where you go, he doesn't remind, like Magic Johnson didn't remind anybody of anybody. Right? You couldn't go, he reminds me of, like he was Bill Russell's size, but Bill Russell is not playing point guard. And that's where, who does Shaq remind you of? Nobody. Nobody's been that big, that skilled playing that position before. And you can say Wilt Chamberlain, Shaq was 340. Wilt was 275. Larry Bird, is there a comparison with Larry Bird? I don't even know when he came out, because when Keith Van Horn came out, he was the next Larry Bird. Tom Gugliotta is the next Larry Bird. I went, no. Doug McDermott is a smaller Larry. It reminds me of Larry Bird. No. Don't get caught up in that. We love to, he reminds me of. Like Michael Porter Jr. Who's he remind you of? Well, who else played 3 games and 50 minutes in college? I don't know the comparison there. It feels like, maybe he's compared to me.
Oh, that's your playing resume?
Yeah, maybe. It reminds me of a young Dan Patrick, 3 games and 50 minutes in his career. Of course, I went 4 years to college, but that's okay. That's the comparison there. All right, Dan Patrick Show is brought to you by Farmers. Farmers customizable home insurance packages offer coverage options you can tailor for your home turf. At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. Discover home coverage options and more at farmers.com. I had mentioned Jay-Z is getting into the shoe business as far as basketball goes. I don't know what his official title, if he's president of basketball operations at Puma. But if you're old enough to remember, Puma had a moment there when everybody wanted to have a pair of Walt Clyde Frazier Pumas. Now, these were the Clydes, and they were suede. They were a little bit heavier, and your socks would be the color of your shoes. So I had red Clydes. So you take off your shoes after playing, and your socks would be red. But there was something about the way Walt Clyde Frazier played that you loved those shoes. And now Puma is trying to get back into the business here, and I think they've signed Marvin Bagley and DeAndre Ayton. I don't know if, anybody else, because, Usain Bolt was wearing Puma, but I don't know if he was moving merchandise here. Ricky Fowler probably moves merchandise, but it's golf merchandise there. Now you get these guys, with Marvin Bagley and DeAndre Ayton. I just don't know if anybody buys a big man shoe. Doesn't it feel like you want to buy a smaller guy shoe? I don't know if that factors in at all, because we all have our favorite shoes. There's a place in the Village. It's east there at 13th and Broadway. It's called Flight. And I went in there yesterday, and it's just fascinating. It's just, walls of tennis shoes. And then you have this area that is, they encased all of these shoes in glass. And it's just a shrine to the great shoes of all time. And then I saw these numbers, and I thought, well, is that the number of the shoe? And I thought, okay, is that the model number? And then my son goes, no, that's because I said 5775. Man, they got the model. My son goes, no, $5,775. I go, are you kidding me?
But you thought they were known as like, oh, those are the 5775s.
Yes. And then I saw, like, there are shoes. I think there's some shoes in there that are $100,000. Because I'm looking at all the numbers. I look at those numbers differently. I'm going, wait, that's 25,000. So it's got all the Jordans in there. I mean, it's a shrine to, it's a basketball museum in there, but you can also buy all of these shoes. Adidas, Nike, Converse, you name it. But to go in there and look at those shoes, and then you take a trip down memory lane, you're going, God, I had those. Why didn't I hold on to those? I had those original Jordans. Why didn't I hold on to those? Because whenever you bought shoes, you played in the shoes. It's not like I went, hey, I'm going to buy them and I'm going to keep them in the box. I wasn't that smart, and I didn't have that money for that kind of inventory. But I look back on those shoes, and they're shoes that are god awful. Because I sent you guys a picture of the Patrick Ewings, and you guys thought it was in my closet. And I go, no. I told him this morning. I said, no, I'm at this shoe store called Flight, and it was crazy how expensive these shoes are. Yes, Steve.
The article, just real quick on the Jay-Z thing,
Yeah.
The article that I'm reading says that his official designation with Puma is creative director.
Oh, okay. So fancy title there, and he's also an agent.
It sounds a lot less than president, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, less corporate-y.
Yeah.
Because I'm creative, man. I'm not like a president. But yeah, I said to the Danettes, we have to take a field trip and go over and just look at all these shoes. Because you'd be amazed how valuable those shoes are. Yeah, Paul.
You're talking about people who bought big man shoes. I think I was probably 15 years old. I bought the big, clunky Patrick Ewing Adidas with the blue and orange.
Yeah.
I was probably 5'11", 137, and I walked around. I can't play basketball, and I'm about the size of one of Pat Ewing's arms, and I'm wearing these big, clunky shoes. I thought they were cool at the time.
But don't we want to buy somebody who is our size with shoes? Because I looked at the Shaqs. I never wanted to wear the Shaq shoes. I mean, they're 22s, but I just they didn't look good on him.
But isn't it just the way, right? Isn't it just the way that they look?
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah. And that's why I'd want to have, I don't know, trying to think Walt Frazier is 6'4", I'm 6'3", so they always looked cool. Jerry West had these gold Adidas, gold stripes. The 3 stripes were gold, and man, I wanted those things badly. Bad. I actually would get shoes from guys when I was on the basketball team. Guys would get shoes, and they didn't even fit me. So if I was getting a size 14, I would wear them, and I don't wear a size 14. The point guard on our basketball team in college, Tyrone Too Small Jones, had size 9.5s, and I loved the shoes that he had. So he gave me a pair. So I'm cramming my feet into a 9.5, but I love the way they look. Yeah, Paul.
Puma back in the day had Ralph Sampson out of college. His first year or two with Houston, he wore high-top Pumas with the red swoosh.
Yeah, McLevin.
I remember there was a time where Converse had everybody. So since I wanted Dr. J shoes, I had to go Converse. Then they got Larry and Magic and Isaiah. So I used to wear Larry Bird shoes, the Weapon. Anyone have the Weapon?
I did have the Weapon, but those were so heavy.
Yeah, they had the big, thick things around your ankle.
Yeah, and it never failed. If you love the Celtics and you looked at those black shoes, it just looked like it slowed you down, right? When McHale and Bird had those black high tops, whereas Magic had the white ones, it just seemed like Magic was a little cooler than Bird and Kevin McHale clunking down the floor. Yeah, Paul.
They had this great ad, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson standing back to back. Choose your weapon. Unfortunately, they're both wearing tighty shorts. It's the most uncomfortable ad you've ever seen in your life. You got to see this thing.
I think that they shot that commercial at French Lick, Indiana. That Magic went down there to shoot that commercial with Magic. Yeah,
Did you have shoe envy in high school or college with among your teammates? Someone that always had these really cool shoes and they were just too expensive for you to be able to get?
No, I eventually had shoe envy with my coach in grade school because he had a pair of Adidas, and I just thought he got me out of class. I'm in English class, 8th grade, and my basketball coach knocks on the door and has me come out of class just to show me he just got the Adidas Superstars. And it was so great. I didn't care about school at all. And then he got me out of Mr. Cap's class, and I just said, oh, my God. I just wanted to touch those shoes. Shell toes, they were unbelievable. Awesome. I couldn't afford them. We had black high-top Converse that were $9.99. We went to a department store downtown Cincinnati, so for $10 you could buy high-top Converse. And I remember buying Carolina Blue high-top Converse. Yeah, Fritzy.
I just remember those Puma Clydes growing up, those with the faux leather, and then if you stepped in a puddle, your white socks would turn blue. But I still thought those were just the greatest things ever back then.
All right, we'll come up with a poll question. If you'd like to get in touch with the program, you can. We say good morning to our radio and TV partners. We're up to 330 cities in America. DirecTV, the Audience Network, Channel 239, and the NBC Sports Network. Let's see, 877-3DP Show. Twitter handle at DP Show. Kevin Costner is going to join us, I think, coming up next. Trey Young in an hour from now. McLevin will have a poll question as well. Anything else that I'm missing here, Paulie, on this beautiful day in New York City?
Real quick, the pre-show incident I want to rectify.
Oh, yeah, we can do that on the live look.
Okay, so
yeah.
you're okay.
Yeah, I walked by Paulie, and Paulie's not the most affectionate guy. I thought that he was giving me dap, like we're ready to go on the air, like let's go get him. And Paulie was reaching for his headphones. So as I walked by, I thought he was going to give me dap, and I'm like, wow, okay, this is a different Paulie.
I would never leave you hanging purposely.
Well, you did.
I apologize.
Yeah, so he was grabbing his headphones, and then I just walked by, and then I did the return trip, and then we eventually dapped it out. All right, 15 after the hour, Kevin Costner will join us coming up next, and the poll question as well, 877-3DP Show. We're back after this.
On your mark, get set, go. Double Dare is back on Nickelodeon. That's right, the first and the best game show for kids returns Monday, June 25th at 8. Monday at 8, Double Dare legend Mark Summers is teaming up with new host Laser Koshi to bring you more mind-boggling trivia, larger-than-life obstacles, big prizes, and more slime than ever before. Gear up for the messiest game show on TV. The all-new Double Dare premieres Monday, June 25th at 8. That's Monday at 8 on Nickelodeon.
Everybody's got a to-do list. I get one for my wife. Drop off the dry cleaning, pick up some milk, figure out something to get out of the house so I can relax. Here's an idea. Let's save hundreds of dollars on car insurance. The good thing, you don't have to drop off or pick up anything. All you have to do is go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes, you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. Do you like extra money in your pocket? Do you like not having to drive somewhere to pick something up? This is the way to do it. It just may be the most rewarding thing on your to-do list today. That's geico.com.
All righty. Kevin Costner set to join us. Trae Young, the Oklahoma point guard, will join us coming up as well. Dan Patrick Show brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. You've missed any of the interviews this week from the Mercedes-Benz Summer Event Man Cave. Go to the Dan Patrick app where you can watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-Benz Man Cave. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. So we're talking about shoes. We're talking about Jay-Z joining Puma, and he's going to be their creative director. You got two of the top players, Marvin Bagley, DeAndre Ayton. They're going to be wearing Puma. They've signed on with Puma. So all of a sudden the door opens, Kevin Costner walks in, and I look down and I go, you got Pumas on.
Yeah.
Now, what are the odds of us talking about Puma, and you didn't just buy those, did you?
No, about a week ago, I said to my wife, give me these Pumas. And there was the leather on leather. I said, no, I want the shiny white and the thing. That's what I had when I had them at one point in my life. And, she did, and it showed up. So a little icebreaker for you and I, right?
I know, I like that. Can you put your shoe up there on the table?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Now we're talking.
Look at that. We're going to get you a Puma deal. Maybe Jay-Z's watching. He'll sign you up.
I identified them early in the history of that.
What's your first tennis shoe you remember?
It was that one. But, I remember getting Purcells and Converse, but the first one was, I think I was telling you, it was the first time I owned two of anything. And it was for basketball, and it was a big deal. And you could almost tell your economic position in life, in public school. It's like guys who had a second pair in their locker room. He's like, "Ooh."
He comes from money.
Yeah, money is exactly right. And it was Pumas. And, they make you feel fast.
Was that the slogan? Or
No,
you just felt that way?
I got two of my boys are in lacrosse, and when I get them cleats, it's weird. They do exactly what I did when I was 8 or 9. They just run up the halls. They're just certain about the traction. They just run in the house. They run in the house, and you just feel fast.
Okay, you played a lot of sports. Obviously, you played these characters in movies, but how were you in high school? Like, what kind of athlete?
I was an average athlete. I understood all the games. I played, basketball, baseball, and football. But I went to like 4 different schools, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. And every place I went to, I was trying to figure out what spot I could get into. So I kind of developed a lot later. I got my strength in my senior year and into college. So,
how big were you when you graduated high school?
When I was about 6 foot when I graduated high school, and I went about 6'1". So, but as a sophomore, I was 5'2". And you know that because you got your license, because everybody wants to see it. And about the third time a girl goes 5'2", I was thinking, I guess I am. That cute thing. I never showed it again.
5'2".
5'2", less than 100.
When did you know though that you could actually you had talent for being an athlete, like that you could have played? You played college baseball.
I remember when we were making Bull Durham, because sports is something you don't project. I could have been, and because anybody that's played, I never played Division I anything. I wasn't the best player in my high school. But, sports is a funny thing where you can tell you can get better, and the guys who want to get better, they do. And, so some guys make it to the pros, and they weren't. And I had a feeling that I could play farther, but it really didn't show up in high school. It showed up more in college as I was just playing a lot of intramurals. And I remember I never hit a home run in organized baseball. Pitched a lot of games, never hit a home run. But when we were working out for Bull Durham, I'm like at 27, and we interviewed so many athletes because we made up 4 teams. And basically the first day, everybody's hitting. I know I'm going to have to hit, and I really didn't want to be watched. I just didn't really want to be watched. I didn't when I was doing everything that I could to stay away. And those minor league parks are big, so I didn't want to lose balls. So I finally got up there. I realized everybody managed all 60 of them to turn around and watch, because here it was. And I'm thinking, whoa. The first pitch, I tipped it. It dropped straight down the plate, just like Field of Dreams. That's why I put that moment in Field of Dreams where you're going to hit it out there and it just dropped down like a limp.
Yeah.
But I backed out of the box because I thought, I didn't like whiff. So I get back in. Then I hit this line drive to shortstop that wouldn't have bent the grass. It was sometimes you get a dead ball and it just went, But I was thinking, okay. And the third pitch went about 370, it went out. And I'd never hit a home run in my life. And I started to think, sometimes we think we're done. If you're not drafted at 18, if you're not, on these things, and I can't project what it would have been, but I managed to play with most of the pros and a lot of the college programs around the country.
Well, we develop at a different age. There are guys who in high school they were as good as they're ever going to be when they're in high school.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get to be 24 and you're 25 and you go, I'm
right.
decent here.
Yeah.
But it's too late.
And those same guys, when they get into college, it's the first time some of them sat on the bench. I just lost my friend Augie Garrido of UT. Three of my friends are Division I baseball coaches, and he used to talk about the guys that were on the bench. And he said, "Look, there's 2 ways to watch a game. You're either going to pout and make sure everybody on the coach sees you, or because that is the first time for a lot of them. But he used to say, look, there's 2 ways to watch the game. You can either watch the game, or you can actually watch the game and see what's trying to happen. And there's a lot of ways to coach players, but when it becomes their time, that makes a difference to them."
You also, by the way, full introduction here. You're up there in the 4 slash guy. So it's actor / producer / director / musician /
Yeah.
What's your favorite slash?
I tell you, I really like directing, and I love the hours of rock and roll. You're not up early on anything in that game. I do like being on stage to perform because it's one of the few times when it doesn't get stopped with a selfie or anything. There's 2 hours, and that's why I started this band 14 years ago. And I only did it to play wherever I was making a movie. That was it, because usually I was some target in a radio station and in a grocery store or something. And it was almost a perfect metaphor for when I do things right, there's no plan. And when and you do it because you want to do it. And
what's your first concert?
Well, the first one I got paid for was that's the point. That's where I was headed. Is I didn't intend to do it. And now that we're 14 years later, I played the Grand Ole Opry 3 times, played the Kremlin, played South America. Like we play our own music, our own compositions.
What was the first concert you went to as a fan?
The first one I went to was the Beach Boys Chicago at Anaheim Stadium. And you knew the songs, and it was just one of those perfect days. But that was the first one I went to.
But you worked at Disneyland, didn't you?
No, I didn't. My first wife was Snow White.
Oh, I thought you worked on like a cruise.
No, I've seen that. I've seen that story, but that wasn't me. I'll tell you what I did though. When I was about 5 years old, we were living in Compton, and we didn't have a lot of money. And one guy said, that's when Disneyland wasn't doing so good. It was just started. How are they going to fill it? Some guy came to my dad and said, "Hey, Bill, you want to take your boys to Disneyland?" And my dad was, McDonnell Douglas was having a big night, and he goes, "Yeah." He didn't work for them, and we went there. And as soon as we got there, my brother took off with my dad, and my mom went with me, and I went right to where I wanted to go, which was that Grand Canyon thing. And that's when they had just the mules, real mules. And I rode that thing. I rode it like 4 times, right? And my mom had to do it too. And the 5th time I was going back, she goes, "Kevin," and there was like yellow tape up. And I said, "Come on, Mom, we can make this." And she said, "No, there's some people coming through." I said, "If we hurry, we can make it." And she goes, "Kevin." And I ran into that thing and I hit this one guy and I buckled him. My mom went, everything got real quiet and everybody stopped. And I looked up to this guy and he looked down at me and he goes, "You like this ride?" And I said, "I love this ride." And the guy goes, "Well, I think your mom's over there." So I thought, heck, we shouldn't be going again, but okay. So I went underneath the wire, I went back to the tape, and I went back to my mom, and she looked at me, and these men walked by, and she goes, "You know who that was?" I said, "No." She goes, "That was Walt Disney."
Oh no.
Yeah, I just buckled him. But I always thought to myself that when a guy like that built the things he did, there were so many doubters, and the level of detail he went through for all of us, to be honest, And then I think when I walked away, I'll bet money that guy, he turned around and looked at those other dudes and said, "That's why we do what we do."
Yeah.
Because that kid, he doesn't like the ride, he loves the ride. All right, let's go. Because that he knows, he could live through other people.
Kevin Costner plays the gruff, dangerously influential owner John Dutton of Yellowstone Ranch. Are you gruff, dangerously influential?
Well, he's a 5th-generation rancher who acts like a CEO on what we're describing as the largest single ranch in the United States. And he has, unfortunately, had to move into that area of politics, whereas the generations before him, it was just the land. So, so where we pick up this story, there's a lot of urbanization trying to break up my stuff, a lot of golf courses trying to come in, the EPA saying you can't move rivers, there's a lot. And then we have Native American issues, and they run right through the heart of this show, Yellowstone, and we shoot it right in the Bitterroot Valley. And if you don't know where that is, it's in Montana. But more significantly, it's where Lewis and Clark went right through. So part of the charm of the movie is the land.
Well, Yellowstone premieres tomorrow night, and that'll be at 9 on Paramount Network.
Yeah.
Correct? Now, did you take a canoe trip? Did you follow Lewis and Clark?
Yeah, I went down some of the rivers that they went down. I built like 3 canoes. I was a pretty impressionable kid. When I see something I like, I just try to emulate it. But that life of westward expansion, of being somewhere and just living by your wits, for whatever reason, really appealed to me. I mean, I used to kill animals, rabbits, and skin them and take them to school, and I'd have to come home with notes. You can't keep coming here with this stuff. It didn't fly in Compton. It didn't fly anywhere.
Wait, you killed animals and took them to school?
Well, no, the skins.
Oh,
I would tack them up because I liked when I saw what the Native Americans had done. It's like, yeah, the skins, they tack them up and the way they look. Everything about stuff I would try to copy.
You must have been great at show and tell.
I was, I told a really weird, I've never told this story, but it's interesting you asked that. I remember in kindergarten was show and tell, and I brought my dad's 30-30. And I just walked it down the street.
Oh my God.
I walked it right in. And it was supposed to be the coolest stuff you had. That was the coolest stuff we had.
Were you big enough to carry a 30?
It was really, really heavy. And in Yellowstone, I use it in Yellowstone for my dad. It's in the show.
As a tribute to him.
Yeah.
Wow. Back to
I went home a lot with notes. Like he's a lot. And it was a.
Did they have parent-teacher conferences back then? I'm curious what your
They did. Well, the only thing I knew about the parent conference was when they were had. And then when they come home that night, because it's in the dark, they go and when they came in, I would really listen to see how this was going to go for me. And if my dad would come in a little hallway, and if he went to the right, he was just going to have a talk with me. If he went to the left, he was getting the belt. And I knew it. I just knew it. And I didn't put everything together, just like the note. This parent-teacher conference thing was not good for me. It wasn't good for me. It's like, you did what? And my problem was I couldn't remember what I had done that could bring on such, the pain.
Yeah. But I remember my dad would get a thin belt, and I had 2 older brothers. So he would say, "Who wants to go first?" And I would go last because he'd be tired out. So my older brother Mike would take it. He'd take the hit, and then my brother Bill, and then I'd be there, and I had to act like it hurt.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want my dad to think that he was letting out, or my brother.
No, you have such a good survival instinct. I mean, when my dad would make that left, I'd already start crying, and I'd hear him, "You're not hurt yet." That's what he would say to me. Like, "Oh, you're not hurt yet."
And just to hear those footsteps, or they open up a door, and then you're like
you can hear it coming off the hook too.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you hear it. And then, he's like, "You're not hurt yet. I'll give you something to cry about."
That sounds like you could use that as a scene. Have you ever had a scene where?
I got to tell you, I had one of those kind of Huckleberry Finn lights, and I have used so much of it, but and I just had so many experiences that I have been able to put forth, and as a result of it.
You take pride in you never had sequels.
Well, I don't.
Is it pride?
I just not. No, it's not. And I would do one. I wanted to do one for Brooks, Mr. Brooks. I wanted to do one, but they always have to get over. The writing has to get over the bar. And so what happens is when people want to do a sequel, they just want it to go as quick as you can. Yeah. And the one you made took a long time. It'd be hard. Ron and I are flirting with doing another movie together called Q School.
Ron Sheldon.
Yeah. Okay. But it's been a long time for us. And that stuff. But the sequel world is just go as quick as you can, get you into the theater as quick as you can, shake you upside down. And if that movie's no good, you make the third one you have to apologize for that one and get to make the third one. So it's a business, and I honor it. I get it. but it hasn't fit into me. And actually, it's not prideful about it at all. It was good business to do that. So I frustrated a level of people that wanted the Bodyguard 2 and wanted the open range and the Tin Cup and the Bull Durhams and the.
So we talked about that a year ago with
Bull
Durham.
It frustrated people.
And I mean, there is something that's there. It's like when people say, would you ever go back to do SportsCenter? Well, I wouldn't, because I can't be as good as I was. I can't capture that. And I don't know if you feel that way. Like if I do Bull Durham or I do Field of Dreams, like what's my role in her?
Yeah. Well, you see it on paper. Listen, some of those movies on paper that they want you to do the second one, if no one wanted to do the first one. Ron and I walked around like a couple of hookers on Santa Monica trying to get somebody to look at this script. We went through all the studios twice, and finally we got down to Fox at one point, and they would do it for $4 million. And we said, look, we can't do it for $4 million. And I went to Orion, and I had just done No Way Out for them, and I said they had 2 baseball movies. That's why I didn't go to them. They had 8 Men Out, and they had a Rodney Dangerfield comedy, The Scout, or something like that. So I would have been pressing my friendship with him to say, would you take a 3rd baseball movie? But after everybody said no, I was up for Everybody's All-American. And the script started to change a little bit. I liked what DeFord had written. I didn't want it to change at all. And it began to morph a little bit. And I decided to hang with Ron, and I finally went back to Ron and said, look, you got till noon tomorrow to tell me what you're going to do. And at noon, they looked at it and they said, we'll make it. For $6 million, we made Bull Durham.
And what's that car worth? What's your Mustang? Is that your Shelby?
Yeah,
what's that worth now?
I don't know what it's worth now.
But it's in the garage.
It's in the garage. Yeah, it's I never let go of it.
Do the boys
what's that?
Do the kids get to drive it?
Yeah, it's like a go-kart. So it almost never makes a trip home. It goes out and then an automobile comes and then I'm on the side of the road and people are wanting autographs. It doesn't work for me anymore.
All right, these guys complained that they wanted to ask a question, but
they complained.
They did because well, can we ask a question?
Yeah.
Now, how about collectively we come up with one good question for Kevin? Okay. So time one, just one, and that's it. All right. Danettes are getting together here.
Do you use that set at all?
The cooking set?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, let people come in.
Yeah.
But the other man cave that's up in Connecticut, that has all the toys, the golf simulator and the basketball hoop, that kind of stuff.
I know what you mean about SportsCenter. I know what you're saying. It's not that you're not as good, but there was something heightened.
Yeah.
There was something heightened.
And it was dangerous back then. They didn't want us doing what we were doing. Like you were trying to fight to have Bull Durham produced. And then, so that's part of it that made it great is you're fighting hard for it instead of somebody saying, we're going to come on in. Here's your sequel here. All right, you got your one question for Kevin Costner. Seton?
Since you have a foot in each, is it tougher to act like an athlete or tougher to act like a musician? And which do you sort of judge more harshly when you're watching?
Well, a lot of people think, Olivia maybe was our greatest actor. And there's one role he couldn't pull off, and that's baseball or football. You know immediately. You cannot outact it. You look, and if somebody coached in your life, please don't be dismissive of somebody. You go, okay, I'm going to try to have more. But in sports, you just go, no.
Right away.
No, you just go, no, what I think is interesting about sports music is even the non-athlete knows that and the great thing in singing, is that you don't have to be a great singer to know a great one. You can just tell, and there's music. I remember I had to talk with John Barry when he's making the score of Dances with Wolves. I didn't know where he was at in his career at that point. He could be a very volatile guy, and he'd been out of the business for a couple of years for whatever reason. So I'm like a mongoose playing with a cobra, right? So he brings me the 5. It was like all the money in the world, and I didn't have very much, and he was going to write some music, and he goes, I'd like to have a piano up in my room. And I thought, shit, what's that going to cost? You mean a piano in your room, like in a hotel room? He goes, yes. And I said, well, can I listen? No, I don't play in front of anyone. Oh, I go, all right, that's okay. So he did, and then when he brought it, he actually had a cassette tape of like six pieces that he thought he could craft into the movie. And I was with my friend Jim Wilson, and we were still thinking about the bill in the hotel. And he comes in, and I liked about 4 of them, and there was 2 of them I just didn't see how they were going to fit. And I didn't realize he was a guy that was like unedited on anything. And I just said, and it's these other 2, and he's like, look at me, there must be smoke coming out of it. But he just kept looking at me, And the reality though is he could make the music, but really as a novice or whatever you will, I had to judge it because it's you don't have to take a step back from understanding what's good. You may not be able to do it. And sports is that way. We know who can play. We see who can play. And it's the same way with music.
It's great to see you. I'm glad you stopped in. Hope you enjoyed. I know that we sometimes touch on the same topics, but we're fascinated with those topics. But
no, we make a good circle. I like coming here. And one thing I like about coming here is there's no pre-interview. We just let it fly, and it started off on my Pumas. And I'm thinking it's just better to shoot the shit like that. It's just so much easier. It actually makes the room more authentic. And you've always, you guys have. I can't believe you kind of cut you guys to one question.
Yeah, we take great pride in not preparing.
Yeah, Well, I tell you what, if it's a continual recess, that's what I was looking for out of school.
Sometimes I bring the belt out though, Kevin.
Yeah,
with these sometimes
you can hear it.
Yes, I can.
You're not hurt yet.
Kevin Costner he's John Dutton of Yellowstone Ranch. Yellowstone premieres tomorrow night, June 20th at 9 on Paramount Network.
And it turned out better than I thought. So if you get a chance, see it. It really turned out good, and it's a lot of fun.
All right, we'll come back. We got our play of the day, stat of the day as well. Trey Young of Oklahoma will join us in about a half hour here on the Dan Patrick Show.
Hey, listeners, just wanted to take a minute to thank all our great sponsors and all of you great listeners for supporting this podcast. We certainly couldn't do it without either of you. And I wanted to remind you that you can support our sponsors by going to our show page at podcast1.com, clicking on the Support This Podcast button, and there you will see all our wonderful sponsors that help make this show possible. Thank you for downloading, subscribing, and of course, supporting. And now, back to the show.
Here at Podcast One, we love hearing from you. We read every tweet and comment you send our way. So don't miss your chance to take our summer listener survey. Just go to podcastone.com and click on the survey banner, or go to podcastone.com/mysurvey. It only takes a few minutes, and it gives you the opportunity to make a direct impact on your favorite shows. Tell us how you really feel so we can get to know you better. We value your thoughts and participation. So check out the survey at podcastone.com/mysurvey, or click on the survey banner on podcastone.com.
Stay tuned for 60 seconds of AP News headlines right after this podcast.
Oh my God.
The play of the day.
Left side, got it. Play it.
This is the play of the day.
Check this out. It's going to be an England corner. We've seen a few dramatic endings already. This World Cup. Are we in store for one here? Trippier. And what a chance for Harry Kane, which he takes. There is drama for you. Kane, the captain, provides the inspiration for England.
Courtesy of Fox Sports 1, a little shape of you with Ed Sheeran. Harry Kane! It's never just Kane. It's Harry Kane. Yes, McLevin.
We were getting tweets asking for you to say Harry Kane.
Harry Kane?
Yes.
As soon as I saw it happen, I texted the Danettes, and I went, Harry Kane! Exclamation point. McLevin goes, did he score? And I'm going, duh, he's Harry Kane. Yes, McLevin.
So I had a little problem watching England-Tunisia. I was in the car. That's why I missed the first goal. I got home. I was all excited. I have England in the DP show pool, and I'm watching, and I'm screaming at the TV, get him out of there. Get him. Keep him away from the goal. It turns out that I had the jerseys mixed up, and England was wearing all red, and Tunisia was wearing white and red, so I was cheering for the wrong team for about 15 minutes.
Play of the day brought to you by Farmers. Customizable home insurance packages offer coverage options you can tailor for your home turf at Farmers. We know a thing or two. We've seen a thing or two. Discover home coverage options and more at farmers.com. You know, it's fun to have Kevin Costner in, and I said to the Danettes, we should take it as a compliment that he said he loves coming on because we don't prepare. But when we're talking about Puma to start the show, and he walks in with a fresh pair of Pumas, I went, that's our starting point. Yeah, Paul.
See, we prepare for interviews, but we don't do pre-interviews. Those like when you want talk shows, Letterman, where they have 4 stories they tee up for, so there's no reaction. So when you ask Kevin Costner a question about his childhood, you get a reaction, and you don't know what he's going to say.
Yeah.
So it's much better TV and radio.
Well, we can kind of relate age-wise and heartthrob-wise and success-wise. So that's, but you know, the belt, man, when my mom would say, wait till your father gets home. Then we knew. So we were upstairs. So it was a 2-story home that we lived in. And there were just 4 boys at the time. So it was myself and I had 2 older brothers and a younger brother. And I just remember we got in trouble. And then my dad, we would just wait. And you felt like you were waiting forever. And then all of a sudden you heard the door open. You heard it's like a Stephen King movie. You could hear every door creak. And then all of a sudden you could hear my dad coming up the steps. He'd talk to my mom and go up the steps. And then all of a sudden you wondered if he was coming into our room or he was going into his room to get the belt. And all of a sudden you would just hear the, and I go, no, look out. And then, you know, my brother Bill would look out. He's in his room. Like, oh, God, somebody's going to get spanked. And then you would hear the belt come off of the hook. And then all of a sudden you knew. And then my brother Mike, thank God, would take the heat. He'd take the bullet to start. And then my brother Bill, then it got to me. And then my dad, I think, was just tired after that or felt sorry for us. It was a different time. Different time. All right, Trae Young will join us. I'm going to read all the positive things about Trae Young. I'm going to let him read all the negative draft comments about him. That's coming up in about 20 minutes here on the Dan Patrick Show.
Hi, this is Ben Domenech, the host of the Federalist Radio Hour. We're a daily show coming to you 5 days a week from Washington, D.C., where we interview our nation's top journalists, politicians, authors, chefs, economists, entertainers, and more. If you're looking for a contrarian discussion on news, politics, or culture, give us a listen and subscribe at podcastone.com, the new Podcast One app, or at Apple Podcasts.
Now ADT can help protect your family at home and on the go. Get started with ADT's best offer, an ADT starter kit and security camera installed free. A savings of $449. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app and service for 24/7 emergency response. Go to ADT.com/podcast today to take advantage of ADT's best offer with 36-month monitoring contract, easy pay, and QSP. Early termination and activation fees apply. Additional charge for ADT Go premium services after 3/31/18. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com. Offer ends April 1st.
Immigration fight. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. House Republican leaders say they will continue working on a comprehensive immigration bill, even as President Trump says lawmakers should wait until after the midterm elections. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy says it's important that Congress address the issue now. Congressional Democrats continue to sharply criticize the president. Maryland Congressman Steny Hoyer.
He is taking infant children hostage, wrenching them from the arms of their parents.
Tacoma, Washington police, using DNA collected from a 12-year-old who was murdered more than 30 years ago, have made a cold case arrest. Police Chief Don Ramsdale says his investigators got the word earlier this week.
The lab contacted us with a match between the original DNA and the sample collected from Gary Hartman.
The 66-year-old Hartman is in custody, charged with murder of Michaela Ward. She was last seen riding her bike in 1986. I'm Tim McGuire.